Hi, everybody. Welcome to Giant TV. This is Paul Hitchcock. I'm the founder and president of Giant Jacks Media. We're helping others to grow and nurture their businesses. This is my channel where I have very dynamic people doing great things on it. And certainly Tara is one of them. Welcome, Tara.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes, and I love it because you are the chief purpose provoker for Origin Coaching, your firm. I love
Yeah.
that. You and I were chatting offline. It's great. And I just want to jump into this because my audience, a lot of them are executive coaches, business owners, tons of business owners that love to hear the stories of others and how,
hmm
what you're focused on. So first of all, how did Origin Coaching start?
Yeah. Well, I like to tell people the story. I got to a point in my career where I'm a longtime project and program manager. I'm also a process improvement leader, and I've held both formal and informal leadership roles and worked with executives and corporations at all levels. And I got to a point in my career, probably about 8 or 9 years ago, where I was thinking, I don't remember this being the dream when I was 12. Like this doesn't feel like it. And a lot of people get to that point in their
Yep,
career, right? And
yep,
so
yep.
I had some opportunities. I could, go get my master's degree. I could choose to pursue a couple of different paths. And so I actually sat down and I wrote down and I encourage people to do this. Go write down all the things that bring you joy. I don't care whether that's at work, at home, whatever you're doing with your friends, with your family. Write those things down and then find the theme. And what I found was I love to help people figure out a purposeful path. And it's what I did as a
Oh,
project manager and a process improvement leader. And
yep.
so it allowed me to kind of ground back in, why was I here? Why was I doing what I was doing? And then as I kind of really worked with that and sat with that for a while, I started looking for ways to bring more of that. And coaching kept coming up as an opportunity. I'd never experienced coaching before, but I certainly wanted to increase my leadership skills, and I knew that a coaching certification may help me do that.
Oh,
And it was
okay.
game changing for me. So
Yep.
I pursued a coaching certification mostly to learn for myself and to be able to make an impact where I was. But once I completed that process, I really loved the opportunity to allow people to have that experience as well. And so, as the chief purpose provoker for Origin Coaching, I love to help people who are right at the intersect of the organization. That's where I was. I like to help them figure out how to rise right where they are and make the biggest impact right where they are. And so that's
Yep.
how Origin Coaching came to be.
No, that's a great background. And so, well, you got the coaching certification, and then uh, is it scary at all, or was it scary for you jumping into this? Like when you started getting
Yeah.
clients and how to get clients, and now people are actually paying you, you got to
Yeah.
deliver. What was your feeling when you did that?
Yeah, so when I first completed the certification, I went right back into the corporate world and I began using the skills there. And I actually offered coaching to people I worked with internally. If they chose it,
Oh,
I let them know that I was a coach, and if their leaders allowed them, I would coach with them. And that helped me kind of keep the skills going. And then I realized I might want to do this on my own. And so I actually, through a series of changes in my roles, in my work, and in the companies I worked for, I was able to kind of find my way there. There are some people that can jump right into being an entrepreneur. That was not me. But I will tell you that I had personal reasons for doing this. I was very close to my mother, and I lost her when she was about my age now.
oh,
And I swore that I was going to do and make something memorable for her at that same age. And so that's when I decided to start my practice. That I would do that at my age and kind of leave the corporate world. And so I've done that, kind of over time. I still do some of the project management work and I have contracts for that because I love that work and it keeps me grounded in what's going on in the world that I work in. But it also allows me to engage with people and with my clients. So I get kind of the best of both worlds.
yeah, I love that. And so what, first of all, I want to understand what are the markets you're serving? Different types of businesses. Is it everything under the sun, or are you focused on one?
Yeah, typically I am serving people in the technology sector or in the manufacturing operations sector. I'm in the Metro Detroit area, so there's a lot of automotive here.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
I tend to attract people that are either in technology or kind of in manufacturing or operational support. And typically my clients are director level to executive vice president level leaders. And
Uh,
really what they're searching for are ways to make the biggest impact right where they are. So I take them through a process to help them really, I call it a 5-step process to cultivate their rise as a leader. And what I do is I help them contemplate how they see the world because we all see it uniquely based on how we've learned to the date.
The business
I help
world or the world in general?
in general the because that applies to the business world. So the filters through which we see the world are how the world is to us, right? And so if we can
Yeah.
understand how we see the world, then we can make um, choices about what supports us or what does not, right? So I have an assessment that helps with that. I take them through that process. I help them really get clarity on what they value most, what's important to them. I help them chart a short-term course with that so that they can begin to make impact now. And then we dig into two really key fundamentals, which are what culture do you want to create? And as an individual, right? Because we live in cultures and work in cultures all day long, but we also bring cultures as human beings. And so if we can bring culture based on those values and the things that matter to us and the way we see the world, then we're making a bigger impact. And then finally, what's the long-term um, ripple that I want to make in this world, right? What's the long game that I want to play, and how do I then chart some course towards that? And I like to equate leadership like placing a drop of water in a pond, right? If you do it with intention, the ripple goes out, much like it does when you drop water in a pond. And you may not know where that lands.
Yeah.
But if you do it with the intention that is authentically yours, then you can trust it will land where you intended, even if you can't see it. So that's kind of the focus that I take my clients through.
Well, I want to dive into a few things there. So first of all,
Yeah.
are you in the, I know you live in Michigan there, are you focused on that, that area in particular, or are you national?
Yeah, no, I'm national, even global. I've had clients in the UK and
Okay.
other parts of the globe. So yes, I can certainly serve clients anywhere.
Yep,
But
yep,
because of my background being automotive, because I was in the automotive sector for years in technology, that's why I tend to attract people that way.
got it. And then when you're going into working with these people, is it because there are problems going on that need to be solved? And you said, as you talk about making a difference, I get, the leadership style, but making a difference, what, the teams in the business, are there goals they've set for themselves, revenue goals, what are you trying to attain with them
Yeah,
specifically? And then how do you measure those results?
yeah, that's a great question. Thanks for asking.
Yeah,
Oftentimes people come to me because they are either they've begun a transition and it's not going quite the way they wanted, or they think they want to transition because they're feeling stuck. Or they're not getting as far as fast as they'd
okay,
like to. So
okay,
oftentimes that's why people are coming to me. And the outcome that oftentimes we're going for are actionable results about how to move forward, right? So they might they might leave our sessions with specific goals that we can work together to action upon. They might be wanting to try different things. Oftentimes, people are asking me to help them see things differently, for example. So, am I seeing things the way that I need to be seeing them in order to be successful here? Do I need to change something,
uh,
or or do or is my environment what needs to change? Right. So it's oftentimes trying to make decisions about what that might look like and working through that together. In other ways, I also support leaders kind of right where they are. So I have clients that are leaders that are really just trying to lead the business well and want to do that from a place that feels authentic and they want to feel confident in what they're doing. And so oftentimes, and many of my peer coaches find this too, oftentimes people are coming because they just need somebody to partner with to be able to explore what's important and make decisions going forward.
yeah, yeah. And are you meeting with people monthly, weekly? I mean, how does the execution of that work?
Yeah, typically I set up my coaching programs to be specific to what the client needs. So I typically suggest not more than every 2 to 3 weeks because people lose momentum
Oh,
if
right.
you
Yep,
take longer.
for sure.
Some clients come to me and they say, I really just want to try this for a little while and see what the improvement is. So I have some clients that, want to again see things differently, work through something that's new to them, that kind of thing. So we'll do a short-term package, let's say, 6 to 9 sessions, and I'll package price that. Other clients come back to me and say, I'd like to meet pretty regularly. So I'll set up a regular payment process with them so that they can come meet regularly, once every 3 weeks or so.
Okay, well, that's interesting, and yeah, because I figure not more than 2 weeks past that, because I imagine a big component of what you're doing is accountability, right?
Yeah,
You know, lay out a plan, but if you're not accountable to it, then who cares what the plan is? So,
right.
but that's an art form, right? Because you don't want to be the big scary accountability person, like, oh God, they're dreading talking to you because you're hammering them.
Yeah,
Right? So I
absolutely.
imagine you're more positive. Like, how do you show up in that meeting?
Yeah, oftentimes what I find is that um, most often people just want to be heard. And sometimes
Mhm.
they can't hear themselves, right?
Yeah,
I find this as a human being. Sometimes I just can't hear myself. If I feel stuck, I'm not sure what it is.
yeah.
So being able to create a mechanism to have that conversation so that I can reflect back, this is what I think I'm hearing, or I'm based on our sessions together, this is what I observe in you. And that gives them the ability to see things a little bit differently. And then from there, decide what the action plan is going forward. And so we work together on what that plan is, what those goals are, and we do regular check-ins about those things.
Okay, so that's one area where you just said, here's what I observe about you. So that's giving comment on somebody else. Are people receptive to that?
If I always ask permission, I always ask permission.
What's the line? How do you ask permission to do that? What do you say?
Yeah, typically I ask them if I can share what I'm observing, um, based on our time together, and
What if
most
it's
people
not
are pretty
good? Or what if it's
receptive.
not, what if you notice a
Um,
flaw there? What do you do?
Well, typically I'll ask them, how they see it, right?
Yeah,
I might say, for example, let me give you an example. I might say something like, "I'm sensing a little bit of fear here," or "You've demonstrated that, you wanted to try this, and we've talked about it, and you haven't tried.
that's great.
I've noticed you're not trying. What might be coming up for you that might be creating a little bit of
That's
fear
great.
here, or what might
Yeah.
be creating a block here for you, right?" So,
Yeah, yeah. No, those are great transitionals because I find that, you want to get upset with somebody because if
sure,
you do these things, it's gonna work out for you. Damn it, why isn't this going on? But
yeah.
the way you say it is great. And then when you're talking to people, isn't it impossible to avoid personal stuff that may be impacting the business environment when you're getting one-on-one with people? And maybe not, maybe strictly all business for you, but it seems like that can creep in. I'm not doing it. Oh God, yeah, because I had my kid, blah, blah, blah. I mean, do you get into personal at all and how it may impact business?
It depends on the client situation,
Yeah.
really, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
there may, there's all, we're human beings. Life goes on
Yeah.
around us, and we have to live those lives. So
Yeah.
oftentimes I find that coaching becomes kind of a journey back to yourself. And so if you can engage and be aware of those things and you feel like you can share them, then certainly those are things that we might talk about. But coaching is about moving forward, right? It's not about digging into the past and all of the things that might be impacting you. And I will encourage my clients, and I partner with therapists if they need it. But if there are personal things that are things that need to come into the conversation, certainly. I've had clients who actually bring valuable insights from the way that they interact with their kids
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
to how they want to interact at work with people, right? They want to have more fun. Well, what does fun look like with your kids? How do you do that, right?
Yeah.
So being able to kind of bring your whole selves is important, and that's where personal, I think, plays a role.
I gotta say the negotiations with my 4 kids are 10 times more difficult than anything I've countered in business. Let me tell you. Uh, no, this is great. And it, how do you kick it off with somebody? If somebody's interested, And by the way, I want to tell people listening, Tara's information will be around this video because we multicast this everywhere. So wherever you're watching, maybe it's up here or down here. Highly encourage you to get connected to Tara. I've been looking at some of your content, which is wonderful on LinkedIn. But so what does the initial engagement look like? Do you do an exploratory meeting and then what
Yeah.
happens?
Yeah. So usually I recommend people just connect with me. I'm always happy to spend 20 minutes of my time
Yeah.
connecting with you to share who I am and learning a little bit about who you are and deciding if, coaching with me is something you want to try. A lot of times people will say, well, I'd like to try it, but I'm not sure I want to commit to a full-time program. The um, assessment that I talked about a minute ago, I
Yeah.
offer that assessment standalone. It's a really inexpensive way to coach with me. You take the assessment, it takes you about 20 minutes, and then we spend up to 2 hours talking through the outcome of the assessment. And you'll learn some things. You'll walk away with some awareness about how you see the world that you didn't have before the
Right.
session, and you'll be able to make some things immediately make some things happen for yourself that maybe you felt stuck with. So I always start people there, and then if they decide from there that they'd like to pursue further exploration based on what we learned in the assessment, then we'll negotiate what that looks like for them and create a package that supports them individually. But I
Okay.
always start with the assessment. It's a great way to get started with me.
Okay. I'm just gonna, you know what I'm noticing about you?
Yes.
You seem really well organized. You're very articulate, and I'm sure you're a good listener. Are those fair things to say?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I think people tell me I'm a good listener. So, yeah,
Yeah, I think
thank
you
you for
gotta
that.
be. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
this is great, Tara. I love what you're doing. I'm checking out your stuff here for a while leading up to this session. So I know we're gonna stay in touch on things, but yeah, thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate the time and for you sharing this great platform with me.
Yep. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, take care.